Hey, what's up everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at Wavesfactory's new VST plugin called Cassette. This plugin is meant to emulate the sound of old school tapes. Now, if you're new to the game, if you're quite young, you may have never even seen a tape before in your life. These preceded CDs, and they had a definite sound to them, a character that you just didn't get with the cleanliness of CDs. And I have to say, just before we jump in here, that this has everything you need to get exactly what you're looking for if you're looking for the sound of tape. So this is Cassette here on the screen. There are 4 different tape types, right? So we've got this one, this one, this one, and this one. Now each one of these has its own character. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and play you all 4 of these, and I'm gonna keep it on home for now. And we're gonna jump into the Pro and Micro in a second. And before I do that, I just wanna let you know the Cassette is on this group, which has all of the elements of this track inside of it. So you can hear right off the bat that each one of those has its own character and feel. Now, on top of those 4 different tapes, you also have 3 different player styles. So we've got tapes here, and then whatever is playing that tape down here. And each one of these, again, has its own feel to it. So for this particular tape, the Pro player sounds really balanced. The Home sounds a little bit lower with the high frequency content and a bigger boost on the low end. And then Micro really sounds like the low end has been lopped off. And you can expect each one of the players for each one of the tapes to have a different effect. So right off the bat, you've got 4 times 3, so 12 different styles of tape combined with player. That is just scratching the surface of what Cassette has to offer. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is the input here. You can easily get some nice sounding saturation and even distortion by cranking the input here. And you'll also notice that it doesn't become very, very loud when I do that. It's just introducing that saturation and distortion. Next up, I'm gonna go from left to right down here. We've got erasers. And what this is when you had a tape back in the day, you could actually record, and what this is when you had a tape back in the day, you could actually erase the tape and re-record on top of it. So this is how many times you had erased the tape. And each time you erase the tape, you're damaging the tape, or there will be artifacts left on the tape. So every time you can expect a degraded sound. So you can really crank this up and get some really degraded sound at 20-time erasers. Spread, you can either go mono or fully stereo or anywhere in between. The stability introduces wow and flutter, which are pitch variations of the actual tape heads going through the tape player. Now, we have kind of a macro knob here, and if you come over where the little gear icon is and click it, you actually have control over the wow depth and rate, as well as the flutter depth and rate, and you can introduce randomness as well here. So while it's a one knob here, you do have a full amount of control depending on how much of that pitch variation you want in your music. So as you can see here, stability at 100% means none of the wow or flutter being introduced. And as you go down to here, it's almost like a completely broken tape player. So between the stability knob there and how much you want it over here, you can easily introduce more or less stability. Moving from there, we've got noise. We've got static noise and dynamic noise. So static is like tape hiss, and this will only happen when there's actual music coming through. So it does have an automatic gate on it. The dynamic knob can also be called the asperity noise, and it is caused by small imperfections of the surface of the magnetic tape, and this results in frequency-dependent stereo noise that can in fact make a track even sound wider when used correctly. Moving from there, we've got the artifacts. And this will actually control the amount of degradation done to the tape and dropouts. So degradation in this case has to do with high frequency content loss. And again, if you jump into the gear panel over here, we have a full control panel for degradation and dropouts. There's also this random snap feature as well. And this is actually really cool. I'm just gonna go ahead and boost this all the way up so you can understand what it is. But essentially what it does is stops the tape and then the tape speeds back up to catch up to normal speed. So you can hear it there. Very, very cool effect. I like to keep it right around 1 so it happens every so often but not too frequently, especially in something like this kind of synthwave track I'm working on. You'll notice that there are 5 other options over here: crosstalk, azimuth, intermodulation, recassette, and mix. Mix is very straightforward, the mix between the dry and the wet signal. Crosstalk has to do with how much of the audio from the left and the right channels bleeds into the other channel. Azimuth has to do with the angle of the tape head in relation to the tape itself. Usually it will be 100% flat, but if there is a little bit of an angle, it can actually cause destructive interference in the higher frequencies of the signal. Recassette is actually really cool. What this does is it's like you're re-recording what you're hearing from a tape player on a different tape player. So it's essentially like stacking the plugin on top of itself in a serial chain. So we can actually do that right here inside of the plugin itself up to 4 times, and it adds a really, really cool effect. So let's check it out. Actually, let me come back here and turn down these dynamics. You can see that each multiplier of the recassette function is really changing the overall profile of the sound itself or of the music. Up here at the top, we can easily change out frequency response, saturation, compression, noise, auto mute. So if I turn this off, we'll just hear that noise all the time, and oversampling. So I just want to say again that if you're looking to emulate the sound of cassettes, this is the one and only plugin for you. It has, everything you need to get a truly realistic sound, right from a really nice tape that is on its first use inside of a nice professional tape player, all the way down to something that's on a broken tape player with a really terrible tape or a tape that's been used so many times. Really, really cool plugin with just an immense attention to detail in the emulation of tapes themselves. So very, very cool. Big ups to Wavesfactory. A link is in the video description if you want to check out more details. I'm Joshua Casper here for Pluign Boutique. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.